Well, I'm now joined by a very special guest, LIV Golf Captain and European Ryder Cup legend, of course, himself, Ian Poulter. A pleasure, Ian, to have you on the show. Thanks so much for making time for us there from Chicago. I know you're a busy guy. Let's get straight into it. Talk to me about you playing at the moment. Where are you in the cycle?
We are literally 2 tournaments from the end of the season. We're here in Chicago at Bolingbrook, and looking forward to trying to have a strong end of the season. I think it would be good for Team Majestics if we can figure this week and then go into obviously the team championship next week and try and have a really strong finish. And it would help us, I think, leading into the off-season break and moving into 2025.
And we're getting an exciting sort of sense of the activity behind you there at the golf club as well. And, speaking of golf clubs, let's talk about what's happening in the Middle East, because obviously you're with LIV Golf now, and it's set to open the 2025 season at the Riyadh Golf Club. Talk to us about what you're expecting from that course. Have you played it before? How do you see the game growing there?
It's very exciting. I think, as you said, our first tournament next year is going to be in Riyadh. I've never played the golf course yet. It's going to be a new test, I think, for a lot of guys. Obviously, the tournaments we've had in the past have been at Royal Greens. So I think for us to experience, what Riyadh has to offer, it will give us, all an opportunity to go and spend some time in Riyadh, and obviously to kickstart 2025 season. I think it's important for LIV for us to be able to, continue to grow the game, go to new territories. Riyadh being one of those destinations, obviously, which I think a lot of us are excited to go to. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be, a great start.
Good to hear. I mean, look, it's no sort of secret, it's well publicised that LIV Golf and the entry of LIV Golf into the golfing scene has sort of disrupted things. Some say in a positive way, others say it's made, some complications. You've got Europe Ryder Cup captain Luke Donald. He's been telling the BBC Team Europe's qualification rules will not actually be changed to accommodate LIV golfers John Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton. Talk to us about your thoughts on that and whether anyone's losing out there.
Yeah, look, the rules that have been set in place are difficult. And, Luke being captain of the Ryder Cup and the rules that have been put there in place for the guys to try and qualify, there's no compromise. So I think everyone's aware that, players need to play their minimum amount on the European tour to be able to be eligible to play. So it's difficult. I've played so many Ryder Cups through my years, and I've been such a proud member of so many teams. Me personally, I find myself in a tricky position where, I'm not a member, and I obviously can't become eligible to be part of a team or even help out as a vice captain or captain unless I do become a member again. So, look, it's not the best scenario, but it's one that the tour is sticking to, and we'll see how things move and progress as things go.
And, in terms of where you see yourself then in the next few years as you're working with LIV and seeing it sort of grow, especially in the Middle East region, I mean, what are your hopes for the next coming years?
The hopes for LIV's growth, I think what we've done in a short period of time with the LIV product being more global, taking it to new territories, showing and growing the fan base, and actually reducing the actual demographic age of followers that we now have within golf is something that's very exciting. So, for us to go to Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, we've been Thailand, all the territories, the Middle East, everywhere we're going, we're gaining a lot of good fans. So I think each individual franchise has the ability to tap into all of the fan base that's out there following us, and bringing that younger age group into the game of golf. I think that's the most exciting piece. I think for us is we've dropped that age from an age of a 64-year-old down to 40-year-old. So that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for the fan base. It's a good thing for us. and I'm really excited about the franchise future.
Well, talking about young people getting into the sport, then your son Luke, very much following in your footsteps. So we hear. I mean, how's he getting on?
Luke's doing really good. Unfortunately, he picked up a little bit of a lower back stress fracture in May this year, so he's had 3 months off, but he's rehabbed really well, and he's back chipping. He'll be back hitting some shots next week, and he's rested and ready to go. So he's really keen, he's really eager, and his growth within the game is very exciting for me as a dad, and a proud dad to be able to be in a position to help him and want to see him develop into, hopefully, an incredible golfer. And if one day he could be part of Team Majestics, that would be simply amazing.
Good lad. It sounds like he's getting on well despite that injury. In terms of the stress of the sport, the pressures of it, something that was well documented, I think, in that Netflix documentary Full Swing you featured in. Talk to us about how difficult it is to qualify for majors these days. And do you have concerns for your son then?
Yeah, look, the system that we have in place right now, the OWGR official World Golf Ranking system is really the only criteria to be able to get into these majors. In LIV, we don't have world ranking points, and obviously that's tricky. So, you will see fewer guys, unfortunately, on LIV at the minute that are eligible to play in those majors. So it's up to those majors themselves to be able to enhance their product and actually see the vision of who do we want to see play golf? Do we want the best players in the world playing golf in our tournament, or do they not? So at some stage, I think, common sense will prevail, and they would like to see, the personalities within the game and the best players in the world all competing together. Each month that goes past, we lose another top-ranked player who falls outside of that top 50, and that's obviously difficult, I think, for their product. So moving forward, you just have to be able to qualify for world ranking points to see that happen until things change. So I'm very hopeful things will change moving forward, and that will give, obviously, certainly players on LIV and the great players that we all know that should be in the top 50 in the world, to gain their spot back inside the majors.
I want to come back to some of the lifestyle stuff eventually, because I think you've got a lot to say outside of golf. But just staying with it, because you mentioned some of those names there within the sport. Let's get your view. Do you think we're ever going to see Rory McIlroy win the Masters or even another major?
But Rory is one of the best players in the world. He has been now for a very long time. He's been one of the most consistent golfers within the game over a long period of time. And yeah, he hasn't won that major now for a long time, and I'm sure it's hurting him as much as it's hurting all of his fans that want him to win another one. So, look, Rory's working tirelessly hard to get another major, and I'm sure he will. Like, he's a world-class player. He missed out, unfortunately, this year to Bryson. But, he's a great watch. People tune in to watch Rory play golf, and that's the exciting thing about golf right now. We have so many great players that have the opportunity to win majors, most of which play in the majors and some that don't.
Some that don't. Indeed. I mean, let's talk about someone, though, like Scotty Sheffer. Talk to us about his form. How many majors you see him winning. Could he get there? Could he challenge the likes of Tiger Woods one day?
Could Scotty Sheffer challenge Tiger Woods' record? If he carries on in the form he's in today, then, quite clearly he would be able to do so. We see purple patches through players in the past. We see players that get to world number one. And in the last decade, we've seen a number of world number one golfers change and fight for that spot. So I don't think we've seen a player to date that has held that number one spot anything close to the amount of time that Tiger Woods has held that spot. So I'm not sure I'm not sure we'll see Scotty reach that target. He has potential if he carries on the trend that he's on right now, because at the minute he's untouchable.
Yeah, untouchable is a way of putting it. Look, you are one of the greats, Ian. You know, as a fellow Brit, extraordinarily proud to count you amongst the sports people of the United Kingdom, and you have been great throughout your career. We've talked a little bit already about the way you've taken your career through LIV, and you know what you think of being, you know, one of those legendary Ryder people. Do you ever see yourself actually being able to become Europe Ryder Cup captain? Is that something you'd still want to achieve?
Look, it goes without saying that if you cut me in half, you know, there's like a stick of rock that says Ryder Cup. I've been part of so many Ryder Cups. It's been a huge part of my golfing life. It's some of the most proudest moments of my career, which you would have seen at Medina, just down the road from where we are right now. So you know, I'm hopeful one day there's a sense of coming together that would enable the likes of myself, but you know, not just myself, but Lee Westwood, Henrik Stenson, that the Ryder Cup was taken away from, Graham McDowell, Martin Keimer, Sergio Garcia, you know, all those guys that have spent probably somewhat 40 Ryder Cups of experience between them, you know, the opportunity to be able to be captain, because as it stands today, that's not going to happen. But look, I would love that opportunity. I would love to lead a team out. So let's see what happens. You know, there's going to need to be some compromise for that to happen. So I'm touch wood, hopeful one day we'll see it.
What is it? What are the things? Because we've spoken a bit about the differences in the tournaments and the different what LIV is doing differently. But what is it about the DP World Tour and PGA Tour that you miss?
What do I miss about PGA Tour, European Tour? Just a few friends. That's it. I think you know, I've played a lot of golf on both of those tours, and you know, upwards of 600 events, I would say. And, you know, the guys have and, you know, will always have a very strong product. And, you know, for me, the LIV product has been very refreshing to be in a team environment and have teammates that I have the opportunity to play with week in, week out. That for me is amazing, and to be able to grow this franchise. I think people lose the sense of what franchise really means and the team value, and what I miss about, you know, the European Tour, the Ryder Cup, for instance, I get on a weekly basis for the 14 weeks that I play here on LIV. So with what I missed there, I actually gain all of it back on this side. So yeah.
Sounds like it all sort of balances out somewhat. I mean, let's talk about some of your favourite moments in your career so far. What do you reckon is the best golf shot you've ever made?
You know, it's hard to look past Medina and, you know, holding that putt on Saturday afternoon. I think for me to have been in that position with having teammates there at the right time, for you to be able to energize the team and create a little bit of magic. I think, you know, we've had a few of those moments in the Ryder Cups, and they're the things I think that really means so much to me.
Let's talk about then some of the challenges of the type of career that you have had, that you've chosen, that you've now allowed your son to get into as well. And you spoke about some of this on the Netflix show, you know, the pressures, the grueling tournaments, the qualifying stress, time away from family. What has been the biggest challenge for you?
I think the biggest challenge over my 25 years on tour would be the time away from the children. And I think that is very difficult. I think, you know, being away from home for 30 weeks a year, missing nativity plays, missing key milestones in their growth and their life is something I've had to live through via FaceTime or text message, or I can never get those moments back. So for me, it's I have to try and put that to one side in the back of my mind and just really focus on creating a great environment to be able to bring the kids up in. So lean very much on Katie, my wife, who's done an incredible job for all those years bringing the kids up. And family is the one thing that really kind of brings it home to me, is that time with the family. It's so special.
And you've, again, talking a lot about Luke here, but you've encouraged your son to enter the sports. You don't have the same concerns for him. Do you think people manage the golf life balance better these days? Do you think there's support?
It's never easy to manage. So Luke is finding out now. Obviously, being at college, he's been at college for 3 years, and it's demanding. But if that is a passion that he has, and I've definitely seen it from within him, that he would like to go on this journey of, albeit quite a lonely job, but it's something that he loves. And for me to be able to see one of your kids enjoy something and actually get a lot of satisfaction from working very, very hard, it's rewarding as a parent, I think, first and foremost. And I'm lucky to be able to have a bit of a support system there to give him some knowledge that perhaps some others probably don't have, so he has a little bit of advantage there, but try and help him with the stresses and the difficulties that will always come with that. And I'd like Luke to become Luke and not Ian's son, and that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we'll always have to overcome.
Let's talk a little bit about you as a personality. You're very famous for your colourful outfits, your boisterous personality on the golf course, as it's been called. You were playing it down in a blue shirt today, Ian, but I can see there's probably some socks in there.
Sorry about that.
Let's talk about social media, because you have got a huge fan base, huge exposure there. You were a pioneer quite early on Twitter, which is now X, of course. How do you feel about the way social media has developed and your role in it?
Social media has been good and bad. I think, like we're probably all, anyone that uses it kind of feels that, it's definitely changed over the years. And, it has its ups and it definitely has its downs. You can find yourself burning way too much time on it, but yet you can keep up to speed with everybody that you like in all walks of life, whether it just be friends or whether it's somebody you follow or a team. But also you can interconnect with your fans more. And obviously when I first started playing golf, there wasn't that. You had to kind of interact with your fans at tournaments, and now we can do that on a daily basis, giving really your fans an inside look of what goes on within your life. So I do think it's very important to be able to give the fans what they want, but also I think it's really important to manage from a parent's perspective the amount of exposure that social media gives to your kids, because you can find yourself going down a deep dark path sometimes, and it's concerning. So the good and the bad of social media is right there in front of us all.
And I know as a professional sportsman, you probably like to stay away from politics, so don't worry, I'm not going to ask your political opinions on things. But look, X and social media users it ended up in a bit of a nasty situation back in the UK. This was a few weeks ago now, with race riots on the streets and things. A lot of public disorder, a lot of it was based on disinformation on social media. As an Englishman abroad, how did you feel about that?
As I say, it has its ups and downs, and it's concerning. So I fall into the channels of someone that gets concerned when you obviously hear stuff on social media, and you just have to be careful of what to believe, because it's very easy for channels and people to be able to push stuff out there, which can sway your mind, and that's the dangers of social media. You just have to understand what is factual, what isn't factual, and try not to get suckered in. So it has to be dealt with carefully, for sure.
In terms of keeping your feet on the ground, just generally, Ian, you know, for somebody who's had so much success, so much fame, wealth assuming to go with it as well, how do you stay so normal?
You know, I don't think I've changed. I've kept the same kind of group of friends. I've kept the same management system. I've kept good people around me. So there's not really much chance that, you know, I can get too carried away from that without somebody obviously giving me a clip round the ear or telling me I'm saying or doing something wrong. So I think it's all about the people that you have around you, the support system you have, the friends that you have, and making sure you make the right choices and you do the right things.
Just rounding things up, I mean, how strong are you feeling these days? How many more years do we get to watch the spectacle of you playing golf?
Look, I'm working harder than I've ever worked before. So with playing 14 weeks a year as opposed to 28, I have more time to work on my fitness. That's something that's now quite important to me, to be able to be in the best possible shape I can be to play golf. So I'm hopeful we can go a few more years playing, but we'll have to wait and see. And if that doesn't work out, that I can keep playing for many, many more years. The nice thing with LIV Golf is that I have a franchise that I believe in. I have a franchise and a team of people that I can work with to be able to continue to grow the game of golf, to be able to give back inside the game of golf, and have a great, successful business on the back end to enjoy and still be part of this great game.
Fantastic stuff. Look, golfing legend Ian Poulter, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.